Hello everyone, welcome back. We've got one more trade to discuss for tonight between the New York Rangers and the Vancouver Canucks. An interesting deal that went down, plus a couple more trades that seem to be coming to fruition in the not too distant future, and some other trade rumors we're hearing as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline. We'll go to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe below. Thank you for all your support. We're never able to without you guys, so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below. It really does help with the channel, and we're on the road to 500 subscribers. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below discussing all that I was discussing in today's video. And don't forget to stay tuned for tomorrow's trade deadline video starting at 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time. We're going to go through all of the trades that happened just before your trade deadline finishes, so definitely don't forget to stay tuned for that. But in today's video, we've got one more trade to discuss before we call it a night, a couple more trades to talk about that could be happening in the not just in future, and some trade rumors that seem to be happening in the next little while. So we're going to start with the one trade. It's an interesting one, really simple one. The trade is as follows. The New York Rangers have acquired Carson Soucy from the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for a 2025 third round pick, the San Jose Sharks. Now, Rangers actually just recently acquired that pick and flipped it. That pick was acquired with Brendan Brisson, the Riley Smith deal, so they used that draft pick to trade to Vancouver. Smart move there from the Rangers to get Carson Soucy. Now, he's not going to help them replace all of the blue line losses that they've made this year, but Soucy's a bigger body guy. He's 30 years old. He can play left side. He can play right side if he needs to, but he's mostly a left side defenseman. He's signed for this year and next year at a $3.25 million cap hit. The full cap hit goes to the Rangers, so the Canucks do not retain any of that contract, which is really good there for Vancouver. Soucy, I think, on the Rangers blue line could be a solid second, third pair guy and really help out that team for this year and next year's playoff run. So interesting note there, but the Rangers have acquired Carson Soucy. Canucks, they freed up some cap space. There was a lot of talk that with the emergence of Elias Pettersson on the blue line and the acquisition of Marcus Pettersson, that Carson Soucy was very likely to get dealt by the Vancouver Canucks at some point in the not too distant future. So they move him. They get a 2025 third round pick from San Jose in return. Solid pickup there. It's going to be a high third round pick. Could flip this pick in the next little while, or they could wind up keeping on that. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But the Canucks have acquired a third round pick from the New York Rangers in exchange for Carson Soucy. So that's an interesting move there. Now, at this point in time, that's all the trades we're going to talk about here today. Any trades that happen later tonight or early tomorrow, I'll just talk about during our live trade deadline video tomorrow afternoon. So definitely don't forget to stay tuned for that to talk about all those trades that happen. But two trades that do seem to be in the queue and very close to being finalized, but I'm not going to touch on in this video, but I'm most likely going to touch on the live stream tomorrow, is one between the Wild and the Bruins. According to a couple of recent reports, it sounds like the Wild are trading Marek Kuznetsov and Jacob Lauko as a package to the Boston Bruins for something. Not exactly sure what the return is, but it's a really good pickup there for the Bruins to get Kuznetsov, who is on the younger side of things, and Lauko, who has ties to Boston, given the fact he was in Boston just a couple of years back. So that could be really a pickup there for the Boston Bruins. Another trade that seems to be in the works is the one between the Edmonton Oilers and San Jose Sharks. That was a couple of hours ago now that we heard that the Edmonton Oilers were most likely going to acquire Jake Wallman from the San Jose Sharks. However, Frank Saravalli said due to cap constraints, it was not going to happen until later in the day or maybe early tomorrow morning. So it does sound like Jake Wallman, who's having himself a brilliant season in San Jose, is going to be heading to the Edmonton Oilers. It sounds like the Oilers could be giving up a first round pick, which I think would be a drastic overpayment. Wallman's really good, but if the Sharks are able to get a first round pick from Edmonton after getting a second round pick just to take on Wallman's contract last offseason, that's going to be a fantastic piece of work from GM Will Greer. So interesting note there, but it does sound like Wallman's heading to Edmonton and Kuznetsov and Lauko are heading to Boston, and we'll touch on those trades tomorrow morning in our live stream. And a couple of other things that seem to be going around the NHL right now, just a couple of interesting updates. On the Insider Trading video, they were talking about a couple of things. They said the Leafs are currently looking at both centers and defensemen. They said they were in on Soucy before he got dealt to New York. It sounds like they might be in on a guy like Rasmus Ristolainen, who just entered my trade bait board. Also, it sounds like they are one of the teams in the mix for Brock Nelson, so look for the Leafs to be active before tomorrow's trade deadline. They also mentioned that the Canadiens are still working to see what they're going to do with their pending UFAs, Yoel Armia and David Savard, who seem to be the two guys who are getting the most interest right now. Savard's a solid top four right shot defenseman. Armia a really good bomb six forward, so we'll have to wait and see on what happens there, but we'll have to keep our eye going into tomorrow what happens around those players. They also said Winnipeg Jets were close to acquiring Luke Schenn. They felt at least they were close to acquiring Luke Schenn before he went to Pittsburgh. It does sound like they do have some interest in Habs defenseman David Savard, and they did have interest in Soucy before he got dealt to New York, so seems like the Jets are still in the market to try and add some sort of a blue line upgrade before tomorrow. According to Arthur Staple, although there was a lot of speculation that Nelson was not going to get moved by the Islanders, he says that things are now leaning towards the Islanders moving Brock Nelson. Dave Pano has said that there's about 10 teams at least who are in the market for adding Brock Nelson from the Islanders. It's a deal we're going to have to watch out for leading on into tomorrow, but that's some of the Islanders, according to Pagnotta, offered Nelson a 3-year deal to try and remain in New York, and it doesn't seem like Nelson's going to accept that, so it does seem like the Islanders are turning towards him moving. It does sound like they're still trying to sign Kyle Palmieri, but there's no guarantees that he will sign yet, and that's still a possible trade option, so we'll have to keep our eye on those two big pending UFAs in New York, and both Kyle Palmieri and Brock Nelson leading up to tomorrow. More things, Brandon Tanev in Seattle and Luke Kunin in San Jose were both held out of today's action due to trade-related reasons, so very likely chance that we do see Tanev and Kunin trades before the trade deadline tomorrow, so we'll have to keep our eye on those guys. On top of that, there's also been some reports from Emily Kaplan as well as Bruce Garriott talking about the Sabres and the Senators. Kaplan was talking about the Sabres and saying that she was talking to Kevin Adams earlier today and said that Adams was trying to make some sort of a big move before tomorrow's deadline, and Bruce Garriott says that when he was talking to around 4 teams, he says that the sense he's getting is the Sens are trying to make a big move before a trade deadline, and it may be around Josh Norris. Now, I don't think they should trade Norris, but it does seem like there's a very likely chance that if they were to make some sort of move, Norris would have to be involved in some capacity. And on top of that, when it comes to Buffalo, I'm hearing a lot of JJ Peterka's name out there. I know as a Sens fan, I've heard a couple of Sens fans say they would love to have him, not guarantee or anything. And Frank Saravalli does mention the New York Rangers as the team has been heavily pushing for JJ Peterka. So we're going to have to wait and see on that, but a potential big trade maybe involving JJ Peterka in Buffalo, and a potential big trade potentially involving Josh Norris could be in the works before tomorrow's trade deadline, so we're going to have to wait and see on that. And on the NCR training video, Chris Johnson was talking about Brad Marchand, and he says, well, it's not a guarantee at any point right now. He does say that things are trending towards Brad Marchand being dealt by tomorrow's trade deadline to a Western Conference team, so not sure what Western Conference team that would be. Avalanche makes some sense, Knights make a ton of sense, Oilers also make some sense, and he's been linked to them as well, so we'll have to wait and see, but it does seem like more and more speculation is going that Brad Marchand will get dealt in the very near future, and it's most likely to a Western Conference team, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens there, but those are some of the updates when it comes to some of the interesting things that we could see before tomorrow's trade deadline. So definitely, that's all I'm going to talk for today. Let's get your guys' thoughts on the updates plus the Soucy trade down in the comment section below. So I'm going to talk for today. I'm going to tell you this video. If you guys are subscribe below, thank you for all your support. We're going to do this without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below, listening to all that was discussed in today's video. Also a blog, different news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So we're going to check that out. I'll link that down in the description below. And I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.